After absence from national events and TV for quite a long period, there were numerous rounds of, "We don't know if Kim Jong-un is still alive." So, Kim Jong-un himself decided to send Donald Trump a letter in his own handwriting to let him know he was still in the game. Trump opened the letter, which appeared to contain a single line of the coded message, 370HSSV0773H. Trump was baffled, so he emailed it to the FBI. No one could solve it at the FBI. So he emailed it to the CIA, then to the NSA, but with no clue as to its meaning. One evening, as he was sitting in his office, upset about the letter, Melania came in. "Why you look so worried?" she asked. He told her about the letter and showed it to her. Melania had a glance on it and then returned it to Trump, saying, "You are holding the letter upside down." The Pope and Donald Trump were on stage in front of a huge crowd. The Pope leaned towards Trump and whispered, "Do you know that with one little wave of my hand I can make every person in this crowd go wild with joy? Mr. Trump, it will be a celebration like you have never seen before. This joy will not be a momentary display, like that of your followers, but go deep into their hearts, and for the rest of their lives whenever they speak of this day, they will rejoice." Trump replied, "I seriously doubt that. With one little wave of your hand. Show me." So the Pope slapped him. Donald Trump is visiting an elementary school one day. In one of the classes, they're in the middle of a discussion about words and their meanings. The teacher asks Trump if he'd like to lead the discussion of the word, tragedy. He agrees to do so and asks the class for an example of a tragedy. One little boy stands up and says, "If my best friend who lives on a farm is playing in the field and an out-of-control tractor comes along and runs him over and kills him, that would be a tragedy." "No," says Trump, "that would be an accident." Next, a little girl raises her hand and says, "If a school bus carrying 40 children went off a cliff, killing everyone inside, that would be a tragedy." "No, I'm afraid not," says Trump, "that's what we would call a great loss." The room goes silent for a while as no other children volunteer. Trump looks around the room and says a little impatiently, "Isn't there anyone here who can give me an example of a tragedy?" At last, a little boy at the back of the class raises his hand and says, "If a private jet carrying you, Mr. Trump, was struck by a missile and blown to pieces, that would be a tragedy." "Fantastic!" shouts Mr. Trump, "that's exactly right. And can you tell me why that would be a tragedy?" "Well," says the boy, "because it sure as hell wouldn't be a great loss, and it probably wouldn't be an accident either." A group of scientists were running an experiment on the human brain. They were trying to figure out how well a human brain can function when it is missing various sections of brain. They started off by cutting out half of the first subject's brain and then asked him to count to 10. The subject replied, 1, 5, 7, 10. The scientists were intrigued by this. They decided to cut out the entire brain this time and once again asked the subject to count to 10. The subject replied, "I can count to 10, I'm the best at counting in the world, I have the best numbers, the news is fake when they disagree with me, I can count, with any numbers, all the time, better than China, better than anyone." Please don't forget to subscribe the channel.